Hi everyone, and welcome to day 15 of Vlogmas. I hope you've been enjoying the non-stop videos because they're a lot of work, so you better enjoy them or I'm gonna show up at your house. Just kidding. So today I am answering the most Googled questions about autism. And what qualifies me to do this is I've had autism my whole life, but wasn't diagnosed until I was either 19 or 20. But I have the PTSD from all my childhood bullies to prove it. Autism is very isolating sometimes, but it wouldn't be me without it, is what I have to tell myself to make it bearable sometimes, but often I like my autism. It's just really hard to deal with sometimes. But today, back to the video, I'm Googling and I'm answering the most Googled questions. So let's get into it. So I'm just gonna do like who, what, when, how, why, the basic W's. Who, autism. That's not even grammatically correct. Who, autism, self-diagnosed. Yourself. I feel like that one's like self-diagnosis means you're self-diagnosed. But I'm not self-diagnosed. A doctor diagnosed me. But it's very common to have self-diagnosis if you're a woman because doctors are just kind of butts when it comes to women. Like, the guy who discovered autism, well, not discovered it, but figured out what autism was, believed women couldn't get autism because their brains were just too small, which is obviously very incorrect, but that's what they believed at first. And they don't focus on the women's symptoms of autism, they focus on the men, where women are much more withdrawn with their autism. Like, men are often disruptive, where as AFAB people, they tend to like be silent and withdraw into themselves and not speak up in class, but they're called a pleasure in class because they're so quiet. I was a pleasure in class. But yeah, it's very hard to get diagnosed as a woman. Boys usually get diagnosed like at age 11 or younger, and women get diagnosed in their like teens or 20s. It's insane to me, but that's usually how it goes. I'm in that same circumstance, and self-diagnosis is very valid because also autism stuff costs a lot of money, the test itself, so it's understandable if you know you're autistic, you know yourself best, and you can't afford a diagnosis. Just self-diagnosis, you have to do a lot of research though as well, because you can't just be like, oh, I saw a TikTok, that's me. You have to like research the symptoms, maybe take some tests yourself, and really like search your inner self, and also like read books about autism. Who autism research leaves out? I already talked about this. It leaves out AFAB and also adults, because almost every paper or everything you Google is like, you're like, how do you cope with autism as an adult? And then it's just like the autism moms, and they're like, my child is a butt face. And they're like, no, I don't want help for a parent. I am the adult with autism. I need help, but there's like no research studies. It's all for kids and how to help them with school, but I'm not in school anymore. I just need to know how to make friends and how to leave the house without having panic attacks and make friends. Like, how do you make friends when you're an adult and you work from home? I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, there's really not a lot of resources for adults. And there's not enough research for AFAB because the symptoms are different. Who, autism prevalence? I'm not sure what that question means, so we'll Google it ourselves. I'm not sure what it was asking. Okay, it's estimate. Oh, the prevalence of it's 1 in 100 children have autism. Okay, cool. Now let's go back. Who autism? We're just searching it again. Autism test. It depends on your age because usually a children's psychologist will do it if you're a child, but if you're an adult, you need a neuropsych eval. I don't know what the difference between a neuropsych eval and a psychologist eval, but I went to see an adult neuropsych person. Yeah. Who autism course? I think that's a class. Who is an organization we just saw. So I think it's a course. Who autism rates? What? Who autism affects? Everybody. Autism affects everybody. It doesn't matter your age, your race, your... Anybody. Yeah. Anybody can have autism. Who autism data? Again, that's that organization. Who autism classification codes. Coders are for like medical records and all that. And who is the organization? Who autism statistics worldwide. That's just the statistics to see autism around the world and who has it. You can Google that yourself. I'm not doing it. What autism feels like? I feel like it's different for everyone. I definitely recommend reading books by different autistic people. My favorite book is by Chloe Hayden and what it was like for her growing up with autism, though there's a lot of triggers in it and it can be hard to read. It's definitely a hard read for me because it was really relatable and it made me cry a lot. But it's one of the most relatable books I've ever read. Another good one is Unmasking Autism, which is very helpful for adults. But yeah, I feel like reading books is the best way to find out what autism feels like if you don't have it, or if you do have it and you don't know how to explain it yourself. What does autism mean? It's a spectrum disorder? I don't know how else to explain it. What autism spectrum disorder? Autism spectrum disorder? Let me Google it because I don't know. I don't want to say it wrong or put it in the wrong words. A diverse group of conditions related to development of the brain. Autism is characterized by some degree of difficulty with social interaction and communication. And yes, that would be me, and that would be many people. What autism can I smell? Can I spell, not smell? I smell too well. Anyway, what autism do I have? There used to be Asperger's and autism, but Asperger's we don't use anymore because it's a harmful label, because Hans Asperger created it. He's the guy actually who believed women couldn't get autism because their brains were too tiny, which is obviously incorrect. But it was named after Hans Asperger, who decided which people should be in a concentration camp, and those with what he believed is the good type of autism, parentheses, should be spared. And then the others would go to the camps. And that's why we don't use Asperger's anymore, because it comes from a terrible, terrible background, as well as it really was just his opinion, who he thought was better. And really, we all have autism. He just thought those people were better, and he would be wrong. We each struggle with different things. It's like a circle, not a linear line. I'll show a picture here. Yeah, it's like that. It's like a pie chart. But he thought it was more a linear line. And yeah, he's a bad dude. But now they go by levels, which is still a lot of autistic people do not like, but some autistic people like the levels. I'm not sure where I lie on the levels. I know what level I am, but I'm not going to say it because I'm complicated on the levels. We each struggle with our own thing, and we each succeed at our own thing. It's a circle. I feel like the the levels make it linear again. So, yeah. So really, it's all just one type, not several types. Okay? What does autism look like in adults? Well, what it looks like in me is struggling to hold down a job, struggling to make friends, not leaving the house a lot, not going to social activities, struggling with making appointments like doctors, struggling in college. I personally couldn't do college. Some autistic people can do college. I'm not one of them. Another thing is struggling to drive. Some autistic people can drive, but I find it to be overstimulating. Like, there's too many noises, there's too much lights reflecting, and there's too much going on, and I get overstimulated, and then I cry, and then I can't see, and then my driver instructor yells at me and makes me cry more. It's a whole thing. That's why I don't drive. But, yeah, it looks different in everyone, though, but those are some of the things. What autism is, again, it's a disorder that we've read it before. What autism looks like in toddlers, it's very different. Me and my sister both have autism. My sister she wouldn't cry at all because she didn't know how to express her feelings, so she made like these annoyed clicking noises, but they thought she was the perfect angel because she never cried, but she would make noises of upset. Whereas me, on the other hand, I cried my whole life. I only wore sweatpants. They could hardly ever dress me. I was an absolute nightmare. Could not leave my mom. And toddlers also, they'll dance a lot. They'll make flappy hands. They'll make lots of strange noises. It's different in everyone, though. It's a spectrum. You can't really say it's all the same for everyone. But another thing, and I'm going backtracking, another thing is struggling with food, getting them to eat, because sensory difficulties is very common with people with autism. So if, like, baby food is mushy and they don't like the texture, and then you gotta find something else, a different texture, and it's just very hard to feed them. It's hard to feed myself sometimes. What autism means to me? I don't know, really. It means that I'm myself. I wouldn't be me without my autism. It makes me have amazing interest and makes me want to learn. I like hyperfixations a lot because I actually get to learn about so many new hobbies, and they make me really happy. But also it means struggling to make friends, struggling to drive, struggling to fit in, and feeling really lonely sometimes. But it has its negatives and positives, like most everything. It's hard to think like that for me, though, because I have black and white thinking, which is another autism symptom. It's one thing or the other, bad or good, black and white, basically. But yeah, I really struggle with that, and I have to often think, no, there's a gray. My mom is actually really helpful to remind me of that, and I'm very thankful for her. What autism makes you smart? I guess it can, because some people have special interests, and those special interests can be science and math, and they can make you really smart because you're so obsessed with that one topic. But again, it's also a really bad stereotype, because not everyone with autism is a genius like Sheldon Cooper. Yeah, I said that. He's kind of a bad stereotype. I often get called Sheldon a lot because of how I often don't get what people are saying, or that I don't drive, and yeah. But I'm not a genius like Sheldon. I'm just really good at art. But there is some people with autism who are savants in things, like musicians, because they can find the patterns because pattern recognition is a strong part of autism, and it makes you really good at certain things. But again, it's a stereotype. Autism can also come with a lot of learning disabilities, and it can make you really makes you struggle to learn. Like, I have dyslexia, and I could not read for the longest time. I had to go to speech therapy because I could not talk. I was in Title I, which is basically special education for middle school, the entirety of middle school, but then I stopped having special education in high school. What autism symptoms? There is many. I feel like there's too many to even list, and I've also listed a lot of them already. So, if you're curious about that, you can Google it, I guess, but I've already said a lot, I feel like. When Autism Awareness Month, and they list it right there. April, there you go. When autism diagnosed, it depends, as I said, much later in women, men, like 7 to 11, even younger in some cases, women much, much later, and sometimes get misdiagnosed as like bipolar or BPD, but sometimes they have that as a comorbidity of autism because PTSD causes BPD and autism causes PTSD by the way people treat you. When autism first diagnosed, I'm not sure. Well, are they talking about the guy who was first diagnosed? Because he's still alive. And isn't that crazy to think about, that the first person diagnosed with autism is still alive? That's insane to me. When autism starts, I feel like it starts from the day you are born. You're born with autism. You don't randomly develop it. When autism gets worse. Again, that depends on the person. I have issues when I'm in a new environment or when I'm in social gatherings or when I'm at the store and there's a lot of noise. Sometimes it can transitions are very hard. Like, it gets hard when you start a new grade or go to a new school. But yeah, it can get worse, but like it can also get better at times. It's dynamic. When autism can be diagnosed, I think like as early as 3 it can be diagnosed, and then forever. When autism is an autism, I have no idea what that means. When autism grows up, I don't know what that means either. When autism grows up, here. It's my face. That's what autism looks like grown up. I don't know. When autism child speak. Again, depends on... I gotta let my cat in the door. He won't stop scratching. He's annoying me. Where were we? Oh, when autism child speaks, it depends on the child. Some can be nonverbal and just not speak like their whole life. Some can speak later. Some can speak even earlier. Like, my nephew spoke much earlier than the average child because of the pattern recognition, whereas I spoke much later. Why is my dog barking? Anyway, I spoke much later than average. But that's also because I had, like, a binky obsession as a child and talked around it. So, yeah, it depends on the child. And autism doesn't really control when you speak. Well, I guess it does, but it depends on the child. When autism starts to show, I feel like immediately almost. Like, the crying, fidgeting, you know. Hi, Tara. He's so good at interrupting every video, isn't he, guys? Fellas, what's a non-binary pals? Oh. Why autism speaks is bad. There is so many reasons. Like, I cannot even list all the reasons. Please, like, watch a video on why they're bad. There's so many. They want to cure autism, even though it makes me, literally me, it makes so many others literally them. It would be taking away their entire personality. They still believe vaccinations are causing it, which they aren't. They focus more on the parents than the child and how autism affects the parents. If you haven't seen the ad, oh my god, I have to put the ad here because it's so insane.
I am autism. I'm visible in your children, but if I can help it, I am invisible to you until it's too late. I know where you live, and guess what? I live there too. I hover around all of you. I know no color barrier, no religion, no morality, no currency. I speak your language fluently.
They make it seem like you're a villain if you have autism. There's so much they did. You have to watch a video because it's insane. Why autism is increasing. I don't honestly think it's increasing. I think that there's just being more knowledge about it. And more people know what autism is and know that there's help you can get. It's not a death sentence. It's not a one-way ticket to shock electric therapy. So they know they don't have to hide it. They know they can get help. They know what the symptoms are. I think there's just more knowledge and more people to diagnose it. And yeah. So I don't think it's increasing. I just think there's more knowledge, more diagnosis. Why autism happens? I really don't think we know for sure. Certain. There's a lot of theories. There's even like one that's like Advil caused it if you take it while you're pregnant. I think that's definitely wrong. But yeah, there's no for sure reason. Why autism, walk on toes. I did that as a child. I still do it sometimes. It's actually kind of bad for my ankles. But it's like a form of stimulation. When you're understimulated or overstimulated, you need something to ground yourself, and that's why they do it. Why autism puzzle piece? It was created by Autism Speaks, and there goes to the next question, why puzzle piece is bad, because it was created by that hate company. And also, they make it seem like we're missing a piece, because it's puzzle pieces and then like an empty puzzle piece. There's a missing puzzle piece. So it makes us feel like we're broken, like we're missing a piece of the puzzle in our brain to make us normal, and it's kind of offensive. But I know some people like the puzzle piece that are autistic because when they got their diagnosis, it was like they were getting the piece of the puzzle they were missing. I personally cannot like it because I know that Autism Speaks invented it, and they literally are so anti-autism. Why is autism on the rise? I feel like I answered that with why autism is increasing. Why autism awareness is important. I think it's important so it can get people more diagnoses, however you say it. It can make people seem like we don't need to be cured. We're good at things. There's just some things we're better at than neurotypical people would be, but there's also some things we're worse at, but we don't need to be fixed. And you don't need to change us. And I think the awareness is important. So companies like Autism Speaks don't try to take advantage of people like us and people in our support system and try to trick them. You know? Why autism tiptoe? I already answered that. And we're on our last one. Where autism comes from. I guess your brain. I don't really know what it means by what it's asking. Autism where you don't care. I'm not sure what that's asking. Autism where you can't speak. Oh, okay, so it wants to know like the different types of autism. they're all the same. It's all autism. It's just a spectrum disorder. So, as I said, some things we're better at, some things we're worse at. The circle, the pie chart, back to that. Autism, where to start? I don't know what that means. I don't know. I don't know. Autism, where child repeats everything. Oh, I did that with commercials, and I still do it sometimes, and so does my nephew. It's called echolalia, if that's how you pronounce it. It's just peaceful to repeat things over, and it's also stimming again. I did it really bad in high school with vines, and I would repeat vines over and over again. I still do that now. And also TikTok. I do it with TikTok sounds. Yeah. Autism, where to get help. Therapy, occupational therapy, which is good for getting over sensory difficulties, like they make you touch things. Yeah. Physical therapy, because we're known to have like weaker muscles. Yeah. And therapy, it's helpful to learn how to identify emotions, because we struggle with that. Oh, I'm losing my voice. What's happening? But we struggle to identify our emotions, and we can talk it through and learn to identify our own emotions so we don't lash out. I've been in therapy since I was like 11, but I didn't get diagnosed till I was like 19 because I showed like the girl symptoms and not the boy symptoms. And yeah. I didn't get diagnosed until I went to a pain clinic where they saw me every day and saw me have, like, how do I say it? Like, meltdowns, but not. I would just shut down. That's the, where I shut down and I wouldn't talk. And that's where they figured that out. Where autistic workers thrive. They usually thrive in jobs that require less socialization and more organization, like librarians, working with computers, like coding, artists, because a lot of people with autism are creative. There's a lot of things we strive at better than others, which just socialization is hard. Like answering phones would be really hard. And I know from experience because I had a job where I did that, and then my other conditions got worse, and then I got hospitalized. And yeah, definitely don't recommend working as a call person. Autism, where in the brain? I don't know. I hope that was helpful because I straight up don't know. Autism, where you can't read emotions. Again, that's just the spectrum. Some people can read emotions. I personally can't, and I'm always worried I offended people and they're just not telling me. And that happens many, many times. And, some people won't tell you why you offended them, and that makes it even worse. And you'll live your whole life wondering what you did wrong, but you will never know. That's a personal story. But yeah, as again, circle, spectrum. Just think of it as a pie chart. That's my main thing. Autism is a pie chart, not linear, not a linear straight line. Think of that. Okay. Anyway, that was my last section of who, what, when, where. So, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for staying to the end. I hope you all remember to stay weird, stay awesome, and maybe click subscribe for more content. Maybe not. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Bye.